So you may be wondering a few things. Why does it look like this is archival war footage? Or you're maybe wondering why the video is starting with this. Good question. All good questions. I would say the first thing is this video that you're about to see, this 1 hour video, has been. Oh, I can see the blue light from my glasses. I'm sorry about that. I can't help it. This has been in the making for, I would say, a year and a half or a year and a bit more. Not necessarily because I was making it, but more just so because I shelved it. It was a really difficult time for me, the time I made it, and now I just haven't had the time to actually edit it, but I have had some requests, a burning request to have this video out. It's about the Mummy series, and Orientalism. I personally don't think it's 100% great. I don't even think it's 70% great. The editing is, from a core video and audio perspective, I would say it's okay. But after 20 minutes, you will notice that I will start rolling through videos. So I won't be like, cut, and then I show the thing I'm talking about exactly at the moment. It'll be like visuals to accompany things. Kind of like how, YouTubers put like a living room or like gaming gameplay. That's kind of gonna be the vibes. Um, I'm sorry. I feel like I want it out, and maybe, in all honesty, you could listen to it past 20 minutes as a podcast. That's completely fine and encouraged, actually. It is fully, like I said, it is fully edited and properly edited with visuals and everything for the first 20 minutes. And then afterwards, there could be some things, some ad libs or some odd like video elements, but most likely you could listen to it as a podcast, 20 minutes onwards. But yeah, just a heads up. I make more videos? Maybe. I've been thinking about making another one about Detroit Become Human. I've been wanting to make one about David Cage for actually 10 years, so this might be an inspiration. I also just wanted to make one about Detroit Become Human in general, considering the topic of conversation of AI has come back in a big way. What a surprise. But yeah, I hope you enjoyed this. I'm just gonna shut up now. Bye. So over the holidays, I was sitting down in the living room with my family, and we switched to a channel where we found The Mummy Returns playing. We watched what I would consider to be the tail end of The Mummy Returns. Now, The Mummy Returns is a sequel to the cult classic, or according to the internet, the cult classic, The Mummy film. And The Mummy is like a trilogy that exists, although note my omission of Tom Cruise's reboot. Maybe we'll watch that for this video. There's also this other movie called The Scorpion King, but I just saw the cover and I was like, I'm not watching that or even acknowledging it. Spoiler alert for the entire Mummy series in this video. Obviously, at this point, we're watching Rachel Weisz' D-Words. She dies on screen, and I was like, oh my god, Rachel Weisz just died, and I love Rachel Weisz. I was like, I need to watch because I'm pretty sure she's going to come back to life. And it is a predictable as hell movie, so of course she does. To watch what I presume to be the climax of the film, or the end of the film as I mentioned, which was insane for a lack of a better word. It just kept going and going and going for like, I would say like 30 minutes, but I don't know, it just felt very long. It was probably like 10 minutes. The main thing is I was kind of appalled by the way ancient Egypt was represented, because I'm like, oh my god, not one person with a speaking role is Arab. But also by the film itself. We were kind of laughing at the special effects and the way that the film was just kind of refusing to end. I've heard of The Mummy's cult classic status before, but I've never watched it because it just didn't seem like the kind of movie that would appeal to me. I mean, I do love Rachel Weisz. I'll watch anything with Rachel Weisz. And yeah, I guess Brendan Fraser is fine. I don't care much for him. But it didn't look very good, and it also looked mildly offensive. As a child, I had enough negative representation, so I didn't need something that like felt even more targeted towards me as an Egyptian. Then out of curiosity, I looked on Reddit to see what people were thinking about this film, and if people agreed. And it turns out people feel very strongly about it. You know anyone who dislikes The Mummy, 1999. Most movies I can think of have their fair share of people who dislike them. I'm not talking about, it was okay, but genuine dislike or even hatred. One film, however, that I cannot for the life of me say that I've ever met anyone who dislikes it is The Mummy. Now I'm sure someone is going to pop up and say, I hated it, and that's fine. But I'd like to ask the question, is there any movie you can think of that you have never heard any negative word of mouth or feedback about? Honestly, the worst I've ever heard about The Mummy 1999 firsthand was people saying the sequel/S were bad. My wife, no wonder we're getting a divorce. I love that movie and don't know anyone that thinks it was bad. Tired of manually booking Schengen. Patience is a virtue. Not right now, it isn't. The Mummy was a perfect movie. People are entitled to their opinions, but honestly, anyone who dislikes this movie is probably a sociopath. As far as other movies I'd never heard of anyone disliking, I'd say Jurassic Park, Back to the Future, Men in Black, The Matrix, Terminator. Nope, because it's quite racist towards Arabic people, treating them all like they're stinky, perverted, sneaky, etc. And the main dude is pretty creepy towards the love interest, kissing her without consent, about to kiss her when she was really drunk. Overall, just treating her like anything but a human. Pretty mediocre film, even without all those things, not to mention all the white people dress up as Egyptians. What a dork. So what I want to do in this video is watching the films to see if I'm actually a sociopath and if I do like it or I don't. I think I need not be so sensitive. Because what if I love it? Because I love Aladdin. I can tell you right now, it's one of the most harmful films made depicting the Middle East. But I love it so much. Not because of that, but despite that. Okay, I should go and watch the Mummy series and put in the work of actually getting the film and seeing it and talking about it. Then I'll be talking about if I thought it was good and if I thought it was Orientalist or if it represented Egypt fairly. I am not an Egyptologist. I'm barely an Egyptian. Egypt, I would say, is an interesting and unique country in the region of the Middle East, North Africa, MENA, because it has that allure of being a holiday destination for white people, as well as a site of great interest for white people through Egyptology, which is a discipline made by white people, mostly for white people, to exploit non-white people. That's what I'm saying, is that we are a bit luckier than the other parts of the Middle East. But at the same time, Egypt is still an Arab country. And that, unfortunately, comes with the terrible Hollywood stereotypes and implications and representations, though it feels like representations of Egyptians in the Hollywood industry kind of grapple between the two, between this, ooh, very cool, Egyptology, blah, 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 ancient Egypt, wow, and the fact that Egypt is, an Arab country. They found a perfect solution, which was to completely erase Arab people from Egypt, or Egyptian representation. We'll find out. These movies appeal to the white gaze in a lot of different ways. I went and I got the DVD this morning, and yeah, I journeyed far and wide to get it. So I decided to venture into the city, from the faraway land of Ealing to the faraway land of Central London, or TCR to be specific, because I had a mission, and it needed to be achieved today. So I actually checked on the CEX website yesterday, aka the store I was going to go to. It's basically a secondhand store for electronics, DVDs, so on and so forth, and also one of my favorite stores ever. And a very dangerous place for me because, if they wanted me to not buy the DVDs, why don't they make it, £1? Oh, sorry, they already are £1, a lot of them. So, but with this specific one, the Mummy 3-disc edition was supposed to be available at that particular branch, so I had to go and find it. So I emerged into the rain and wind, unvictorious, and I was like, okay, I'll go another day to another branch. But alas, while thrifting with my friend, I found these DVDs accidentally in British Heart Foundation, and I got them, and they were actually cheaper than the price that I was gonna pay from CEX. So I have both with me today. Two DVDs with me today. I have. Look at this. The Mummy. Just look at this. It just looks so good. It has the first movie, so The Mummy, and then it has The Mummy Returns. But it's not just any box set because it has 2 discs for each movie or for each section, which is crazy. I'm so excited. And also, I love this cover. Can we just talk about this cover and this like packaging? Obsessed. For £2? With this extra disc is like crazy stuff. There's crazy stuff. There's like a storyboard to film comparison, Egyptology 101, archive of the Mummy website. Oh my god. Interactive mummy games, screensavers, live webcast, Mummy Returns premiere. And then the second one has an exclusive conversation with The Rock, and the Scorpion King. I'm hella excited to get into this. This one, which I got for 50 cents. It was half price, and that's the third film. So that's Mummy, Tomb of the Dragon Emperor. I think this one came out in like 2008 or something. This one's not even about Egypt, is it? Yeah, so I got these two, but I'll maybe come back later with The Mummy 2017 because I kind of feel like watching a bad movie. I don't know. So this is visibly a different day, and I'm visibly not on my couch anymore. Sorry about that. But yeah, let me run you through a little of a plot summary. So the film takes place in Thebes, 1209 TBC, where this ancient Egyptian man's affair, the ancient Egyptian man is called Imhotep, with the pharaoh's daughter, Ankhsu-Namun, leads to them killing the pharaoh when he finds out. Ankhsu-Namun is so sad about this that she kills herself. So naturally, Imhotep tries to resurrect her dead body in the fictional city of Hamunaptra, aka City of the Dead. The pharaoh's bodyguards, aka the Medjai, and we will see them throughout the film again and again, stop him. And then Imhotep is mummified alive as punishment for his transgressions. The Medjai are then tasked with making sure Imhotep doesn't come back so he doesn't do evil things. I don't know why I wrote it like that in the script, but it's okay. 1926 Egypt, smartly placed. Because at this point, the British military hadn't completely left Egypt, but technically Egypt was independent from British rule. In this year of the world, Evelyn, who's played by Rachel Weisz, is a librarian. Find out, by the way, in the last part of the movie that she's half Egyptian, who's also obsessed with ancient Egypt, is bamboozled by her brother, who says that he stole a map and box relating to the lost city of Hamunaptra. Stole it from Rick, who is an explorer played by Brendan Fraser, and who is part of the extremely colonial FFL, French Foreign Legion, which we see at the beginning of the film. Oh, he is at this point in an Egyptian prison, but Evelyn manages to make an exchange as he would essentially show them the way to Hamunaptra, and she wants to go there because she wants to find a book. I don't know, I don't like me when I'm obsessed with something, so I want to go and steal artifacts. Like, that's so highly unrelatable, so I don't really know what to say. Now onwards, it's all just random stuff. There's a rival group trying to find Hamunaptra. There are many rival groups trying to find Hamunaptra. They get into skirmishes. The Medjai show up occasionally here and there, warn against what they're doing. They continue anyways, of course. The Book of the Dead is found, though, and Evelyn steals it from the expedition. I think what I mean is by another person who finds it, another group who finds it, and then reads this book that is supposed to be filled with ancient curses out loud, unleashing the curse. Girl. Scared by Imhotep, who is now resurrected, they all return to normal Egypt, which is not normal at all because it looks nothing like Egypt back then. It doesn't look like Egypt now. But of course, the curse follows them. Those who stole Imhotep's jars, because, you know, when you're mummified, I don't know why I say when you're mummified, as if it's an experience. It still occurs to people. The guts are supposed to be stored in like different jars. So those jars, the people who stole those jars, are targeted by Imhotep. Ooh, is he really a villain, guys, at this point? And it is in this way he regenerates, by sucking the life out of the people that stole his stuff. They then realize Imhotep is obsessed with Evelyn. Girl, get in line. But because he wants to use her as a sacrifice to get back with his dead girlfriend, Anksunamun. Evelyn gives herself up to protect her friends because he's like, hey, you need to join me, whatever. And this buys time. I guess Rick and some others go to Hamunaptra with a plane, which is crazy and doesn't make sense. Not much makes sense in this movie, but you just gotta move on and just enjoy that. They crash because Imhotep, throws like a sandstorm at them. It's crazy. And the captain dies. I don't really care much for the captain. We see him in 2 scenes. They realize that there's another book, not the Book of the Dead, that they can use to stop Imhotep and turn him into a mortal, and thereby killing him. Anyways, Rick saves Evelyn. Then Evelyn's brother, who's there all along, reads out the ancient text again, this time to stop Imhotep. It works. He dies. Anyways, the city is like crumbling, so they run away. The end. So I'm gonna start with the pros and end with the cons. So I understand the nostalgia because it's genuinely a fun, mindless blockbuster film, and it really feels like a real movie, it's got that 90s big movie charm to it. We don't get many of these type of blockbuster event films anymore that are actually fun and just crazy and wacky. Anyways, like I said, it is fun and has a fun lead. Both leads are very fun, super charismatic. They have great chemistry. They actually did consult an Egyptologist for this film. I think he was American. Small details are somewhat still aligned. The whole scenario at the beginning, though, is fictional and completely historically inaccurate, but would be similar to something that would happen if something like that would happen in ancient Egypt. So like the punishments aren't like crazy unorthodox or whatever. Like, talk about like some examples of those like historical, I wouldn't say accuracies, but like attention to some little details. So the Medjai actually existed in Egypt apparently and were protectors of some sort, but they also existed like not in ancient Egypt. It is true that explorers stole from Egyptian tombs. That does happen in this movie. A lot of our artifacts are not with us. They're not with us. A walk through the British Museum will clarify that. The mummification jars thing is real, but that's honestly doesn't feel like, crazy revelation. I learned that I feel like in primary school. But the number of jars are wrong. There is a book, I don't know what it's called, but it has rituals and stuff, but not really curses from my understanding. Anksunamun and Imhotep supposedly actually existed, but they're not connected in the way that they are connected in this movie, and they are both in different times of ancient Egyptian history and have different things going on. Die curse that's represented in the film that I cannot remember what it was, but it was a curse. I think it was the curse against Imhotep, but correct me if I'm wrong. I could be wrong. That's not real. Sorry. I'm not an Egyptologist, so I'm not gonna go in the fine details. So this is maybe a crazy thing to say, but it's pre-9/11. Pre-9/11 Orientalism, Arab stereotyping is somehow nostalgic for me, and that sounds like a terrifying thing to say, and it's a really, really depressing thing to say, but it is true because it's more like fun racist, not just depressing. Oh, look how stupid these Arabs are. They're so stupid. They don't have brains. They're disgusting. But not look how dangerous and scheming they are and how much they're a threat to national security. It's not necessarily oh wow, Arabs are going to destroy the world and they're very scary, which is a crazy thing to say. It's still very bad, but it's a different type of Orientalism. Let's get into the cons, and at the end of the watching experience, all of the movies, I'm gonna wrap up with general thoughts and conclusions, of course, but yeah, let's get into the cons. Something to note is that no Egyptians have any speaking or lead roles in the film, and this is the main thing that I'm gonna point out because it's literally crazy, babes. Imhotep, the ancient Egyptian mummy that is brought back to life, is played by a South African man with Dutch and German descent, or Dutch/German descent, and there's a guy who wears a fez who gets treated like absolute trash in this film. Apparently he's supposed to be Hungarian. I don't know, there's a lot of ethnically ambiguous people in this film. The leader of the Medjay is played by an Israeli actor, and I do not have to tell you the political implications for that in a movie set in Egypt. Angsuna is played by a Venezuelan actress, which I clocked immediately. I was like, this woman does not look even remotely Arab. The curator of the Egyptian Museum is played by an Indian American. So I think the Egyptians here are maybe extras and have no speaking roles, and it really shows. They don't have any agency either as characters, even when they are not played by Egyptians most of the time. Thanks for erasing Egyptians in a movie that's supposed to depict Egyptians. Perhaps my favorite fact is towards the end of the film, as I mentioned earlier, Rachel Weisz is revealed to be half Egyptian. Like, wow, Rachel Weisz, our Arab queen. Also, I feel like a lot of times I was looking and I was like, have they darkened the level of foundation that a lot of these white actors or non-Egyptian actors are wearing? Also, what the hell is this? Why are people riding around camels in the 1920s? Cairo looks ridiculous, even more so than usual. Every Arab in this film has lost the ability to speak Arabic, apparently. I hear a language and yet I do not know what it is. In a lot of movies, they just have people who are speaking a language that I have never heard before, but it's supposed to be Arabic. I don't know, maybe they know better than me, maybe they know something I don't. Sometimes they'll speak modern standard Arabic, which is like nobody speaks modern standard Arabic, and all I can understand is them yelling yalla or imshi or oh Allah, which, you know, everyone knows are the only 3 words in the Arabic language. So every Arab person in this film is depicted as dumb and disgusting. They make comments in the film about how smelly and gross some of the Arab presenting characters are, which everyone knows is historically inaccurate. Also always look like visibly disheveled and dirty. Like, I don't know where these stereotypes came from. There's a scene where there are prisoners in an Egyptian prison watching and cheering while Brendan Fraser is about to be executed, which is very agrobacode, I must say, extremely harmful and historically inaccurate. Like, why would you think this would happen? He's also a prisoner. I don't understand like what you think Cairo in 1926 is like, but this is not it. Prison warden is represented as a sleazy sexual deviant who only wants money and sex in exchange for Rick. So all like the Arab characters, especially in the Cairo scenes towards the beginning, are very like chaotic. They're like greedy, they're sexually deviant, as this prison warden is, and I don't think he's even played by an Arab person as well, so there goes that. Later on in the film, everyone in Cairo is under Imhotep's whatever spell or influence, because apparently only white people can really not be possessed by this and can truly save the day. They have no regard for life. They'll just be like mowing over like these Egyptians, which makes sense because they have no agency in this film. No Egyptians have agency in this film. They're just props for the story. Some may argue the film argues against this because it suggests that bad things will happen to you if you try to steal someone else's artifacts or colonize, but it seems like the intention is misplaced. As is said in the film, actually, as a dialogue line, people fought for their land without knowing the evil that lay underneath it. So not because it belonged to Egyptians, you know, because Egyptian people don't have agency in this film, but because it's mystical and has evil running through it. But the larger message, I guess, is don't mess with it, but it's also like don't mess with it because you don't know what could happen if you do. And I'm kind of sick of this mystification of Egypt with the use of mummies. We'll talk about that in the epilogue, I would say. The use of mummies curses in ancient Egypt. It's like Orientalist. It removes Egyptians from their own story, kind of like Egyptology itself, and fuels a narrative which is offensive at worst and fetishistic at best. We're now going to move on to the second one, which I think is The Mummy Returns, and I need to watch that at first before I get back here. But yeah, these are some of the pointers of The Mummy. Overall, I enjoyed the watch, but was a bit appalled with, of course, the plot contrivances. I was like, okay, this is crazy, but at the same time, I was like, this is really deeply offensive. But it's been so long since I've seen The Mummy Returns that it's actually comical, guys. Like, maybe wearing the same shirt, but trust me, I have washed it, okay? I do not wear the same shirt for 2 months straight. It's just that I have been through all my pajamas, and I'm back to this one. That's how long it's been. Let's do a plot summary, okay? Because I still do remember this movie. if it meant that I have to go back on the wiki to find out what happened. So ages ago, before BC, I just realized I just said before Christ, the Scorpion King, aka The Rock, yes, the Scorpion King is played by really badly CGI'd The Rock. He has this army that's supposed to take over the world, right? Anyways, he emerges unvictorious from his plan to, take over the world and goes to Amshir. So this is a place in Egypt, apparently. It doesn't exist. And not ancient Egyptianally or currently. So he makes a deal with Anubis where he said that he's going to win against his ops. And then Anubis can take his soul as like a little tit for tat, right? Anyways, they go through with this and Anubis takes his soul because the Scorpion King, I guess, succeeds. I'm not really sure how he succeeds. Anyways, we come back to 1933 and it's been 9 years since the first film. So Evelyn, played by Rachel Weisz, and Rick, who's played by Brendan Fraser, are married and they also have a kid. Also, Evelyn works in the British Museum. They are again messing around in Egypt or something like that. I'm not. And they find a bracelet, Anubis's bracelet. Their son, Alex, starts playing with it and stuff. But it's not the son that takes it. It's actually them that they take it. So they clearly haven't learned from film 1 and they take it with them back to London where they live. Yeah, so that's where they live now. They live in London. Cue big establishing shots of Big Ben. Why is it so empty in London? It's really, truly bizarre. Then, Alex starts playing with the bracelet because, of course, a very highly important artifact is just left in the living room out in the open, right? He starts to see visions and stuff when he puts this bracelet on. I'm talking about Alex. The shenanigans occur. Evelyn is taken by Imhotep followers, like people who really just do anything that Imhotep says, who somehow get Imhotep back from the dead with the book from the dead. Plot convenience book because it just brings back anybody who dies. So he wants to defeat Scorpion Man, so that's why he's back from the dead, and he wants to steal Anubis's army. And I'm pretty sure he also wants to get back to with Anksunamun or what. If nothing makes sense here, don't worry, because it doesn't make sense. Now the museum guy is evil. Remember museum guy from movie 1 that's supposed to be Egyptian, but he's not Egyptian. He's evil for no reason. And Anksunamun has also been resurrected, but not really Anksunamun, more so her body, right? Anyways, Rick, Alex, and Jonathan, which is Rachel Weisz's brother, Evelyn's brother, go to bring Evelyn back. Also, the guy from the Magi that's played by an Israeli guy is back to help. So they successfully bring Evelyn back, right? They find Evelyn, but then Alex gets kidnapped instead because he has Anubis's bracelet. He does leave little clues, so his parents do end up finding him, I think in Amshir or something. Imhotep resurrects Anksunamun's soul this time because it was just her body, as I mentioned, that was resurrected. And through doing that, Evelyn somehow gets these crazy memories back from her other life in which she was Princess Nefertiri, right? We do get a good scene out of it because basically she's been sent to protect the bracelet or whatever. So basically they try to give a justification for why Evelyn is allowed to take the bracelet and stuff. I don't know. I do love Evelyn's action scenes in this film. A lot of CGI shenanigans end up happening. I'm not going to say exactly what happens because I don't think it matters to me. I don't think it matters to you. I don't think it really matters to the plot. Could just be wow, there's a bunch of things jumping at our characters and trying to attack them. And that would be essentially subjectively and objectively what happens. Imhotep finds out that the gang are coming for him. That's why the CGI shenanigans happen. Anyways, they do save Alex, so that's the son, because apparently he's gonna die if the sun sets. But Evelyn gets attacked and actually dies. She dies, as I mentioned at the beginning of the video. Now Imhotep is immortal, and he has to fight Scorpion King while he's immortal. This is the part I watched with my family, by the way, and watching it a second time, it's still not. It's even worse. I'm not gonna say much other than they fight. Jonathan and Alex bring Evelyn back to life through the Book of the Dead, because obviously, like I said, it's just the easiest thing to do, so nothing has any weight. And Evelyn saves Rick, and Anksunamun sees Imhotep on the ledge, at the same ledge that Rick is holding on to, and doesn't save him, just runs away, which I think is the funniest thing ever. Imhotep dies. He literally lets go. He's I'm gonna die. And then Anksunamun, while trying to escape, dies as well. Whatever. They go back to London and Jonathan steals a diamond, because of course he does. Let's start with the pros. So I liked the Evelyn action scenes. I thought Rachel Weisz's character was stronger in this film. I mean, she had a lot to do in the first film, but I feel like here you really get the sense that she's grown. I did enjoy the Princess Nefertiti kind of touch. It doesn't make any sense, but I thought it was fun. I really, really enjoyed the scene with Princess Nefertiti and Anck-su-namun kind of like having this fight. I used to see it on like Instagram edits when I was a child, and I thought it was super cool. And I still think it's super cool. It makes sense? No. Is it a little bit weird? Yes, because Rachel Weisz is a white woman. It was fun to some extent. Like I said, there were some fun sequences. I really liked the sequence where they're getting attacked on the London bus, the double-decker bus, and London is so empty. I thought parts of it were quite camp, which made it enjoyable. There are nice parts. I again like the banter between Rick and Evelyn works. There's some good like chemistry there, of course. I thought, again, some of the action scenes were fun. Some. But the rest were not. I think it's really lacking in the charm that the first film had. And as for cons, well, I don't think historical inaccuracy could be necessarily a con, but I think that it speaks to a lot of the lack of care in terms of representing a country or representing a country's history. And I mean, I don't think it's a bad idea to create things like Gladiator, for example, as a movie. I mean, I don't know, I haven't seen it, but I'm pretty sure that's not very historically accurate, or if it is historically accurate, it's not, 100% historically accurate. When it comes to this movie, I think it makes sense to have some sort of representation or appreciation of the culture, whether that's through hiring someone who is Egyptian to work on the film, or to have someone Egyptian representing Egyptian people, right? You know what I'm saying? The historical inaccuracies stand out more. Like, for example, the Scorpion King, Evelyn says, he's a myth. Oh, I thought he was a myth. Girl, no. As an Egyptologist, you should know that the Scorpion King is not necessarily a myth. They say that there's an Egyptian calendar and a year of the Scorpion, which again is the most Orientalist thing ever, because the idea of year of the, animal, that is a bit incorporated from more Eastern culture, like Chinese culture. We don't have that, girl. We don't have that in Egypt. There's no such thing as an Egyptian calendar. So I think this mishmash is a perfect example of Orientalism, right? You're just creating something out of thin air that doesn't exist, just to make it more like, ooh. Also, ancient Egyptians don't do reincarnation. I mean, that's something also in the first film. Like, ancient Egyptians believed in the afterlife, but they didn't really support or believe, that you could or should reincarnate. What is the difference between cultural appreciation and cultural appropriation? Or what's the difference between depicting a culture and actually, feeling like you really do respect the culture and that's why you're depicting it, versus that you're depicting it in such a way that's so haphazard that feels disrespectful? Do you know what I mean? It's a bigger discussion to be had. I stand more resolutely on the side of, hey, I think there should be some sort of incorporation of, real representation. Egypt is not a very, it's not a country that is well represented, if that makes sense. I think it has pretty similar problems to the first film in general. The Medjay Israeli guy has more of a central role here. He helps, them the whole time. Do with that what you will. The film doesn't really focus on the stupidity of these expeditions like the first one. Like, I feel like in the first one there was a highlight on the fact that it is inherently very silly and kind of ridiculous that these different groups of people are trying to steal artifacts from Egypt. And they do kind of make a point of showing that there are bad things that happen as a result of stealing things. Granted, as I mentioned in the first section of this video, not for the right reasons, right? Because from my understanding and my reading, it's not that, we shouldn't steal these artifacts because they're not ours and because they belong to Egypt. It's because if we steal them, then bad things will happen to us. People do think that in real life, like not in The Mummy, in real life, they think that, ancient Egyptian curses can be unleashed on people who mess with, ancient Egyptian artifacts or something like that. Yeah, there is that sense of mysticism that I feel like is very Orientalist and does more harm than good. So it's like the message isn't we shouldn't steal because it isn't ours, it's we shouldn't steal because Egypt is scary. So again, I'm appalled by the lack of representation. Almost the same cast, I would say, with the addition of The Rock, obviously, and the new kid and some of these like additional characters. I think it's even more bizarre that they make Rachel Weisz to be a Egyptian princess. It's really bizarre to me that they try to justify her actions and justify her link to Egypt through this weird background that she's somehow an Egyptian princess. It's very odd. Still, it doesn't make as much fun of Arab characters as the first, but I reckon that's also because it starts off in London rather than in Egypt. The film is less funny. These are just more like semantics, but the film's less funny than the first. It's less good in general. It's less fun, less atmospheric. Pacing is bad. The CGI is awful. There's way too much going on. Like, the plot doesn't make any sense. Things happen and you don't understand why. The point of these films is to have fun, and I felt like I wasn't really having as much fun watching this film as I was the first one. So, to conclude though, the vibe that I got from this film, right? And maybe that's just a me thing, but it's my interpretation, so it's fine. In the first film, I got the feeling that at the end, you kind of have this feeling that there's a message of, you know, even if I said it's misguided, don't mess with things that aren't yours. Bad things will happen. The second film has this idea of, oh yeah, don't steal, but at the same time, like, there were already bad things happening before they stole again, so it kind of defeats the purpose or the levity or the strength or the heaviness of the message of, hey, you shouldn't colonize, or hey, you shouldn't steal, because it kind of still portrays ancient Egyptians as like barbaric and people who can't be trusted with their own stuff, and that even occurs before Evelyn and Rick get a hold of Anubis's bracelet, right? Okay, editing Myra here. I don't really think I put across this idea very clearly. What I'm trying to say is, in the film, what actually causes like Imhotep to come back to life and shenanigans to ensue was the museum curator, who is played by a non-Egyptian guy but supposed to represent an Egyptian guy, takes back Imhotep to the British Museum and then like does this like ritual to awaken him. So I guess you could say that it implies that, you know, it's like taking back artifacts to places where they don't belong could result in like bad things. But also I do want to note that the person who brings back Imhotep to life is like an Egyptian person, at least in the context of the film. So it's still problematic. So that's my take. I don't know if it made any sense, this section of the video, but hey, that will fit the movie. Guys, I swear to God, I will get this video finished. I just finished the third Mummy movie, so that's The Mummy, Tomb of the Dragon Emperor, and it's not even about ancient Egypt, considering to myself, should I even make this part of the video? But I was like, hey, let's do it. Either way, we'll do the main thing. We'll do a plot summary, and then pros and cons, and then I'll talk about the colonialism aspects of it. I don't know if that's the right structure. It's been so long. My battery is very low. My voice is still not fully back because I'm recovering from illness. That's why I'm here watching this movie. Anyways, plot. So in ancient China, an emperor creates an empire, and he's like really evil and doesn't want his death to mean like the end of his work, including, you know, such activities such as civil war and building the Great Wall of China with like corpses inside. It's crazy, gnarly stuff. He summons Michelle Yeoh, who's called Zi Yuan, sorry for my pronunciation. She's a sorceress, to get the Oracle of Bones, which is like a book of stuff. She's meant to say a spell to give him immortality. She falls in love with General Ming, the general that she's sent with to find this oracle, and you know, the emperor doesn't like that because he wants her. Anyways, so General Ming gets killed very predictably, and then Michelle Yeoh curses the emperor and his army with a curse, and they become the Terracotta Army, so they are unalived and kind of frozen kind of vibes. And then we return to 1946 in Oxfordshire, England, and Evelyn has grown a new face. She's not played by Rachel Weisz anymore, and Rick just exists. I'm not really sure what he's doing, but he exists. She writes novels about mummies because of course we're exploiting a culture that's not ours for profit. Their son is on an excavation with his professor, who apparently we know, like he's like, they're like, oh my god, Professor Roger. I'm like, I don't know who he is. Maybe the mummy fans will know better than I. They send the things they find, which is like the people frozen, the Terracotta Army. They send it to Shanghai though when they find it, so that's a different thing, which we will touch on later. And the British government sends a guy to Rick and Evelyn. They're like, hey, we have one last task for you. We know it's been a while. Can you take this like gemstone called the Eye of Shangri-La to China because they want it back? And I'm like, hey, slay, we are returning artifacts in this movie. What a great development. So they do this and they reunite with their son Alex, who's low-key a womanizer and a college dropout, and that combo, guys. Anyway, so the white professor that Alex was doing the excavation with is actually evil for no reason. And some Chinese generals who funded the expedition called dibs on the mummy of the emperor and like the terracotta army, but mostly the mummy, the emperor mummy, and they bring him back to life with the help of the Eye of the Shangri-La gemstone. Lin, by the way, is a new character that comes with Alex, who we discover later on is a daughter of Michelle Yeoh's Zi Yuan. So she's our exposition queen and she's our plot device. She doesn't have much of a character, unfortunately, but Jonathan now, and this is like, I should have said this earlier, but Jonathan, who is Evelyn's brother, now owns an Egyptian-themed nightclub in Shanghai, which is very fetishistic, but he has made a habit out of exploiting other people's culture for wealth very directly, and continues to, it seems. To move on to the plot, they can only take down the emperor with a particular dagger, as Lin says. So they go to the Himalayas and battle. Yetis help them. I don't really know what this means. The avalanche happens. Emperor has powers, like he's like water, fire, air. I don't know what's going on. Just like he's very overpowered. So I don't really know how the logic works that he just gets killed with a knife, but sure. Zi Yuan helps them after they're wounded, especially after Rick's wounded, because again, death means nothing in this series. People get stabbed and people get shot and they come back to life unless they're, you know, Imhotep. Lin is soon kidnapped and conveniently not killed, and the dagger that is, you know, should be used to kill the emperor is stolen. They then go to the Great Wall, we know, where there's corpses, and then Zi Yuan summons the dead corpses in the wall through the oracle, and then they fight. They fight. The excellent part of these movies is the they fight section, which is the section where my brain kind of goes, hordes against hordes. They fight, they win. Zi Yuan dies. The end, Alex and Lin get together because apparently they were like romantic interests, whatever. And Jonathan takes the Eye of Shangri-La, which is not his. It's not his. Moves to Peru. I assume to do the same thing there. I'm not gonna talk a lot about this in terms of like, you know, historical stuff and like ancient Egyptian representation or even like ancient Chinese representation, because that's just not my focus for this video, and also I don't think it's also my place, but I will touch on it a little bit from the Orientalism aspect, and anyone can correct me. I'm so sorry if I get something wrong, but you know, we are gonna explore this together. So let's talk about a bit of the pros. So actually, I think people give this movie a really bad rep, and maybe deservedly so. I honestly thought that this film's plot was more coherent than the second, and say that what you will, but I fully believe that this movie's plot is more coherent than the second one. It's easier to follow than the second one, okay? There's only one villain. The plot is kind of like going like this. That for me is much better already, you know? We have one goal, and there are like CGI thingies, but it's not like random CGI monsters coming out of nowhere, you know what I'm saying? So that's a pro. For me, Brendan Fraser is as awesome as he always is. I'm, you know, continuously throughout these movies, I'm like, wait, Brendan Fraser is so cool. Like, he's so charismatic, he just seems like an awesome dude. Just reprises his role with such ease. And cons. Con. Rachel Weisz is not in this movie, which means that this movie is actually worse. Rachel Weisz, like Evelyn and Rick, their dynamic is such an integral and important part of the movies. It's why they're fun. It's why there's like a little chemistry going on at the center of it. It gives it a lot of its heart, a lot of its emotionality. The actress who plays Evelyn, you know, she tries her best, but something about this movie is that it has no heart. It's so obviously like a cash grab. I don't want to do Egypt anymore, so let's do like ancient China mummies. Okay, interesting. Why don't you just make a new movie? Why does it have to be attached to the Mummy series? That last 30 minutes were just like boring. Like, of all these movies, just the last 30 minutes are just like, when is this gonna end, right? Not funny, not as funny as the earlier movies. It just doesn't have the camp. Like, increasingly the movies don't have the camp of the movies prior. And also Alex is still annoying. Like, he's not as annoying as he was as a child, but I just don't really buy his character. I don't understand his character. His actor. And then we're gonna touch a little bit on the Orientalism. So at least in this one there are Chinese actors, so that's good. So there is some sort of representation. Is it again, it's better than having none. Now in this movie, because this is relevant, they've got a like preserving artifacts narrative rather than just pillaging tombs, right? Which is actually a character actually says this verbatim in the film. And so they actually want to return the artifacts to China. Still a bit sus that the people leading the expedition to find the terracotta army are still white people. There's a very comical scene in which they're finding like the tomb, and then every single Chinese person on the expedition or Asian person on the expedition just gets killed. And the two people remaining are just the two white people, Alex and the professor. And I'm like, this is... The first two Mummy movies have always got and no matter how misguided this is, and we've discussed this in previous sections, and why, and actually like the reasons why they have this mentality, they have a hey, you shouldn't steal artifacts narrative because bad things will happen, or something like that. This is here. There is something weird I must note, and maybe this is just me looking too far into it, but again, this is 2008, and I would assume that some of the mentality has changed. So when the gemstone gets given back, so the Eye of Shangri-La, whatever, gets given back to Shanghai, it's stolen. First of all, it is true that it's a good thing that there's an evil white professor character, not like the evil Egyptian character that we saw in the second movie. It's not played by an Egyptian person at all, but yeah, like, so the white person is evil, but he's also working with corrupt Chinese generals. And so is it actually reinforcing the narrative that when artifacts get returned to the country they get stolen from, they could end up in the wrong hands, or they won't actually be protected? Severely colonial way of thinking about reparations and returning artifacts, because they're like, oh, they're actually safer here, because if we return them, they just won't be cared for as well, and they won't be preserved as well, and maybe like some corrupt people from the country will try and steal them. Maybe I am overreading it, and maybe this is not what the movie means, but this is my reading of it. Also, at the end of the movie, the gemstone doesn't even go back to China. I mean, other than the fact that terracotta army doesn't exist anymore, right? Because the gemstone, which, their task was to give it to China, gets taken by Jonathan. We will get into Jonathan now, in a second, who leaves China with the gemstone, again, taking something that's not his to make money out of it, to Peru, where he continues to do, like, random, like, Orientalist, colonizer mentality activities. When it comes to Jonathan, I don't have much to say about ancient Egypt in this film, but we will discuss this part of ancient Egypt in this film. So, as I mentioned, Jonathan has a nightclub in this film, and it is ancient Egypt themed, except it's got, like dancers in like skimpy outfits and dancing around on stage in ancient Egyptian skimpy outfits. Very fetishistic to me, very Orientalist. Like, the movies themselves are Orientalist, but there's something quite sickly and interesting about the fact that there is Orientalism within the Orientalist film. Like, it's Orientalistception. So that's it about ancient Egypt and this movie. I find it very interesting that they chose to make a third film, considering I don't think anybody was asking for it at the time, and I think that it was responded to badly because people were like, I don't think this is relevant anymore, I don't think this people care anymore, and I don't think it's like a story that is... It's not even fun. It's a story that's aged badly. So in 2008, I don't think people were like, oh my god, I kind of want a third Mummy movie. And also, I just think the idea of like, they were like, oh, let's make a third Mummy movie, but this time in China, is like the essence of Orientalism. They're like, hey, let's go to like another Eastern culture and dissect their mummy. So that's all I have to say about the third movie. But I'm thinking maybe I should see
another
the bad
editor's
Tom Cruise
note.
movie,
So I actually filmed the Mummy video, the Mummy
low-key thinking
2017
about it.
video, but I noticed after I filmed it that it didn't have any of the video, just the audio. So I'm so sorry. You're not going to be seeing my face in this part. I'm so sorry about that. Hey, it's the morning now, and I've decided to watch The Mummy 2017 because it was on Prime Video, and I was like, hey, I'm still recovering, sorry. I was like, hey, I've been through pain already. Why don't I just, go through the last run, So anyway, so The Mummy 2017, starring Tom Cruise, is reboot of The Mummy, which was also, I think, a reboot, which is crazy to think about. But this was supposed to set up some sort of dark universe. Like Universal was like, hey, I want some of that MCU tea. Obviously, it spectacularly failed because it was cancelled after this movie, because this movie flopped. I'm gonna do a quick plot summary. We start in ancient Egypt, and that's the only part where we see Egypt in this film. And Princess Amenet is next in line for the throne, but her dad births a male child, so now, no more. She's very angry about this and does what any insane person would do and calls upon a deity called Set to give her powers through some sort of deal she makes with him, which I assume is to bring him back to life through a body kind of situation. She kills her family, but is then captured and mummified alive for this. And then her sarcophagus is put away, like far away. Then we come to modern day London, where they find a tomb with crusaders and a stolen Egyptian gem, which was part of the dagger that Princess Amenet was going to use to kind of like input the set into a person. The dagger needs to have this gem to work. So the reason why they find it in London with crusaders, it was probably stolen and such. Then Russell Crowe, yes, Russell Crowe's in this movie, shows up and takes over the operation, and yeah, he's called Dr. Jekyll. At the same time, we are also in Iraq. Unfortunately, we are in Iraq with our main character, Nick, who's played by Tom Cruise. He seems to be some sort of soldier. And like his friend guy is with him. I don't remember his name. I think his name is Chris. Some very forgettable name. And they are fighting insurgents in Iraq, showing to us that yes, indeed, the Middle East is nothing but desert and a battleground. Then they decide to raid a tomb because they've been doing that as like a looting thing to try and sell stuff on the black market. They discover Princess Amenet's tomb and accidentally bring her back to life. Classic. Then they, alongside an archaeologist called Jenny, fly the Sarko to Britain. They're like, hey, we should call specialists from Cairo. Then we never see the specialists from Cairo. Shenanigans ensue when Nick's friend becomes possessed by a spider, and the plane crashes because birds crash into the plane. Crows crash into the plane. Nick is alive, and he discovers it's because Amenet wants to use him to bring Set back to life. Girl, go back to sleep. She's like in Nick's brain and stuff. This is not explained, but that's okay. We are used to this now in the Mummy movies. There are zombies for some reason in this film. Asterisk, we will get to this later. Then Amenet realizes the gem that's needed in the dagger is not attached and she can't complete the ritual. First of all, couldn't you have realized this earlier? Second of all, yawn. Somehow they are captured by some people, and Jenny reveals she's working with a secret society who captures supernatural creatures. And Dr. Jekyll is like, hey, I think you should die, Nick. I think you should die so we could dissect you. And maybe I think that should be done. But Jenny's like, no, please don't kill my boyfriend. Jekyll like does a thing where he almost transforms into Hyde. I don't really know what's going on in this movie. Amenet runs after them after they escape. I'm talking about Jenny and Nick, and creates like chaos in London. Some crazy moments like a sandstorm and some fight in the London underground. It's crazy. Amenet but finds the gem somehow because she's like down with the Crusader zombies. I don't really understand. Amenet kills Jenny actually, so someone does die. And then yeah, Nick and Amenet fight. They fight. Nick's like about to break the dagger because that's apparently how you like end the curse, and you can't even do the ritual if you just destroy the dagger. And then he's like, wait, I want to live forever and I want to bring back Jenny. And he stabs himself with it. So he's now Set. He brings Jenny back to life, but it's clear that he's like part evil now. Anyway, he does kill Amenet. Jenny awakens. They have a little convo. He leaves. Now Nick's friend is back to life, and they are back in the Middle East and on an adventure to try to find a cure. I don't know, they say cure to the curse, but I don't know if they mean curse like that Tom Cruise has. I guess so. And Jenny and Jekyll are like, wait, maybe we can low-key also collab with him in the future. The end. Well, non-end, because this movie is set up to be like a beginning of some epic franchise that never happened. And you know what? That's okay. Sometimes the things we don't see are the things we don't need to see. Pros, there are literally no pros in this movie. I just cannot think of anything. The only thing which is barely even a pro. It's like a half pro, a quarter pro. The Mummy story. So Princess Amenet's story, I think there is potential, or there was potential there, because they try to make her more sympathetic, and they try to spin the story. They don't even try to spin it. They try to hint at her like feeling unloved by others back in the day, and that should have been explored more and delved into deeper, rather than like objectifying the mummy and representing her as a sexual object, which we'll get into later. Sidelines this and favors like the Tom Cruise-ness of it all, which that isn't very good, and Nick's character is very unlikable and not very interesting. Anyways, the cons are so much. This movie is like bad. Like, it's really bad. The plot doesn't make sense. It's a narrative disaster. It's got random elements like zombies for no apparent reason. It's got extremely weak characters and performances. Tom Cruise plays this terribly. He's like Ethan Hunt, but like worse. He doesn't give the role any interesting thing to it. And characters, especially Jenny, will be like, he's a good man. Like, even at the end, he's a good man. I'm like, where is this good manness? Because all I see is just like a cocky, annoying guy who doesn't care about anyone other than himself. And he doesn't learn anything throughout the film, not in my opinion. Like, prove to me that he's a good man, and rather than having like a character continuously telling it to me. He doesn't learn that he should stop like using the Middle East as his like ground for like finding stuff. His monstrous transformation is selfish in itself, because he not only wanted to live forever, he wanted to bring somebody back to life, and at the expense of him being like a monster. The film has a non-ending to continue the story, so it feels really bad, like, and comes out of nowhere, like this whole like Nick stabs himself with the dagger thing. So the film does not feel complete, and there's that. I hate that so much in the film. I hate that so much in a film. The tone of this film is all over the place, like jokes that fall flat because they're in the middle of this extremely serious film. Like, this film is taking itself so seriously. It's like Batman v Superman. That's like the worst part about it. It's so damn serious, and for what? This movie is about mummies or zombies. Like, this is not a serious film. Why are we pretending like this is a serious film? It's not fun at all. There's no camp at all. The camp and fun in the previous movies completely missing. It's just horror, and it's not even good horror. The action is terrible. Just everything is so bad. There's no redeemable part of this film. The editing is terrible. There's some really awful ADR moments in this film. The reason why the earlier movies work to an extent, and why they're so beloved, you know, not by me, but by the film, a lot of the film community, is because they were fun, because the leads were charismatic. And Brendan Fraser agrees with me. He agrees that the reason why Mummy 2017 failed is because it wasn't fun. I think actually it failed as well because no one asked for it, of course, but I actually also think it has to do with post 9/11 Orientalism, and I will explain what this means further when we get to the Orientalism part of the video now, of course. While The Mummy 3 was post 9/11, it doesn't really center Arabs or Egypt, so it's less relevant there to discuss what this means, but let me go through some reasons why I think this movie is kind of whack in its Orientalism. The film starts with an altercation between insurgents in Iraq and Nick and his friend. I don't know if this is a military funded film, but it surely does feel like it is in a way, or that, you know, our main character is a military man or a soldier or whatever, implied to be something like that. So immediately there is a more like empathetic view of the American interventionist project in Iraq. This scene where they're like being like in an altercation with the insurgents is kind of played for laughs actually, which first of all adds to the tonal craziness of this film, but also is really insensitive and weird. And later on there's like a pass away, like there's this like dialogue lines like, oh, we told the villagers to evacuate, so it's fine, yeah. They're looters though, so that's the evilness there, right? That's what's wrong with them, okay? Not that they're doing other stuff, it's because they're looters. And they say, or Tom Cruise's character says, we are not looters, we are liberators of precious antiquities. Immediately after showcasing some rebel insurgents in Iraq shooting at some ancient architecture. And that also immediately creates a narrative that suggests antiquities and historical architecture is not safe where they belong, especially in the Middle East. And later on, when the tomb is discovered by Nick, And his friend, Jenny the archaeologist, says anything of value should stay out of enemy hands. But who is the enemy here? What do they mean by enemy? Do they mean the insurgents? Do they mean the entire country? Why is it okay for them to take it? This is never challenged and individualizes the problem of taking other countries' stuff, right? Like, it just individualizes colonial problems. It individualizes colonialism to, like, looters. There is that narrative which we saw, in my opinion, at least in my reading, we saw a little bit of in third Mummy film, where they're like, oh, but if we give it back, maybe like really bad people will get a hold of it. Very colonial narrative, by the way. And considering this is 2017 is insane. There's a part of this film where Nick says, we need to see haram, which is crazy because they call it like, oh, haram means like forbidden knowledge in Arabic. It means curse. That is not true. That is not true. I died laughing because I was like, this sounds so comical. Looters and Tom Cruise do cause the curse to be unleashed, and that's still a hey, don't steal message. But these are individuals who do this. But it rarely suggests that expeditions and projects that are done, like interventionism in the Middle East, it rarely suggests that those people may also be at the wrong to some extent. There is a don't steal message. But just like the first film, but even worse because there's a military interventionism aspect in it, and because it's post 9/11, it makes it even worse because it suggests that, you know, individual people shouldn't steal, not that countries shouldn't steal and infringe on other people's ground. By the way, there's no info about whether Egyptologists were consulted for this movie, unlike, you know, the first two Mummy films, because as I mentioned, I'm only interested in the ancient Egypt aspect of those two films. And this shows an even more extreme lack of interest in the inspiration for this movie, in the important part of Egyptian culture and the important part of Egyptian history. They do not care. There are some inspirations and some allusions to Hatshepsut's story through Princess Amenet, and Princess Amenet is not, you know, Amenet is not a real Egyptian or ancient Egyptian name, but, you know, it could be related to something else. But the film doesn't care about this. Not at all. It doesn't care about Egypt. It's darker and more serious. Princess Amenet is so sexualized in this film and objectified, which is so bizarre. They try to make her like more sympathetic, but then they just completely disregard that. They don't like delve into it further. She's a seductress kind of character. She's an exoticized, very dangerous, but very sexy kind of character. Orientalist representations at their core have this insane duality of sexy but really scary. So yeah, that's in this film in 2017. We see an exoticized caricature of Egyptian-like characters and things. We see a mummy represented as an evil, deadly, seductive woman. We only see horrific parts of Egyptian culture. Egyptian props don't even have any semblance to any Egyptian props, really. Again, like I said, this film is not concerned about Egyptian culture or Egyptian history. It does not care about it at all. Well, I think the earlier movies, maybe it's misguided, but there is a sense of, you know, wonder, some sense of characters are excited, like, this is so cool. Ancient Egypt is so interesting to me. You know, like, Jenny should be like the Evelyn-like character, but she's not. She's barely excited. They're just scared. Like, they're just terrified of ancient Egypt. They're not interested in exploring it other than exploring it as an archaeological kind of find. They don't care. This film fundamentally fails because it tries to show the threat as extremely serious, right? Egypt is not only Scooby-Doo scary, it's terrifying, it's coming to get you. It's the exact shift in tone from representing Arabs badly with bad stereotypes that I described in my pre-9/11 Orientalism to representing them as extremely dangerous, a threat to national security, and able to destroy an entire city like London. It's not fun Orientalism, and I know it's a crazy thing to say, but it's not goofy, it's not campy, it's not cheesy immediately. That changes the tone because you're like, this is not real. I mean, obviously it's not real, but it's not serious, right? And even though there are problematic depictions in the first two or even three, but I'm speaking about the two specifically when it comes to ancient Egypt, sense of like, wait, this is cheesy, this is campy, and while it still makes a mockery of some ancient Egyptian culture and Arab people, and there's barely any representation, it's not to the point where it's completely representing them as like very villainous and very exoticized to the point, like, to the point where they're just not interesting anymore. Do you know what I mean? It's rooted in extreme fear and otherness. This is not the Mummy I know. BTW, I guess the only win we have in this film is that which is barely a win, is that the Mummy, or like Princess Amenet, is played by Sofia Boutella, who is Algerian, so she is Arab. But that's not enough for me. It's like being like, hey, so we hired someone who is Spanish for the job, even though it's about a French person. Why not hire an Egyptian person? Again, no Egyptian people in this cast. Like, literally none. Absolutely none. It's 2017, guys. Yeah, and considering nothing else is respected in this film, it's bad. So, to conclude this, the narrative in this film suggests, of course, that if you steal, bad things will happen. But again, not because stealing is bad, but because Egypt is scary. This is a similar narrative to The Mummy 1, but it's worse. This time, it's not just like, scary. It's really, really, really scary. It's invisible, it's sexy, and scary at the same time. It doesn't make sense. It's mystified even more. It's terrible. It individualizes stealing with the looter characters rather than showing it to be a systematic issue. By the end of the film, our unlikable male character gets rewarded with bringing people that he loves or that he loved back to life and stealing the power of a dagger that's ultimately not even his. Sure, this is implied to also be bad, but we are not shown this in this film. And that's what I have to say about The Mummy 2017. Let's move on to the conclusion.